Do you differentiate between dogma and spirituality? And where do you draw the line? And the second question is, you talk about us being greedy, having negative energy. And the question I have is, any thoughts on why were we created that way to begin with? Why be created ill and then be commanded to be well?
Can you say that last question clearer?
Why were we created ill and then were commanded to be well?
Thank you. There could be many definitions of dogma, but essentially, whatever religious or spiritual rituals or beliefs we have are really meant to be an aid to transform our hearts. Just like, for example, you want to send a letter to someone. Of course, these days, this is not a very relevant example. In the old days, when I grew up, we used to have envelopes. And we'd put the address on the envelope, and we'd put the stamp on the envelope, and then we'd send it. Nobody cares about the envelope. They want to see what's the content of what's inside the envelope. So our aspirations, our goodness, our will to be purified, our will to love God, our will to be an instrument of God's grace in this world, that's what all the religious, that's what meditation is for. That's what ritual is for. It's a form in which we can communicate. When we identify our religion with the envelope and we don't really concern ourselves with the content of what is our character, what are we asking for, what are we offering, what are we giving? In spiritual life, the envelope of whatever external forms may be there, it's for the purpose of giving love and receiving love. But if the content in our heart is envy or ego, arrogance, and that's what we're using the envelope of our religious rituals for, that's not religion at all. Then it becomes a very empty, misused form of dogma. That's one way to explain that. As far as the second question, we are not created ill. The Atma, the living force within us, is perfect. It is a part of God. As we said, it is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss beyond death, beyond birth. But we have free will within this world. And according to the choices we make, it not only creates a reaction, but it also creates an internal inclination toward doing the same thing again. A crude example. Most of us are not born with an unbearable craving to smoke cigarettes. You make the choice. It's not that people shove cigarettes in your mouth. Of course, people could be all around you smoking and you're inhaling it. But you make a choice at a certain time to smoke the cigarette. And as far as I have heard, the first couple cigarettes people smoke, usually they don't like it at all. They're like, but it's kind of cool to do it. You know, the movie stars do it, and my idols do it, so I'm going to do it. And as you make that choice, the inclination to smoke another one becomes more and more and more. So we become habituated by the choices we make. Similarly, when we do good for others, doing good for others is addicting. When we criticize other people, every time we choose to criticize someone, we become more habituated to respond to a situation through criticism. This is the laws of karma. Whatever choices we make, not only does it create reactions as far as what comes to us in this world, but it creates inclinations within us. So the greed and the arrogance and the envy and even the cruelties of this world, as well as the goodness and the compassion and the forgiveness, these inclinations we have are very much due to how we have programmed ourselves, by how we have chosen to act in the past. And the present moment is how we're programming the way we experience and see the world for the future. What is going to be our inclinations? You see, you can't change what we've done in the past. But whatever comes as a reaction, we have the free will how we're going to respond. If something negative comes and we choose to respond in a positive way, then we are creating positive karma. And not only that, but we will have a greater inclination. There's a Native American Indian example, which I think very suitably addresses this question, that there are two dogs within each of us. There's a good dog, and there's a bad dog. The good dog represents our divine nature: forgiveness, humility, kindness, responsible self-control, decency in how we do our business. I know some of the wealthiest people. They earn their money with integrity, and they spend it with compassion. And they're as competitive as anybody could be and successful as anybody can be, but they built it on this foundation of love. You see, this bad dog, envy and anger and hatred and vengeance and greed and selfishness. And then the good dog is there, which is our good character. And they're both trying to demand our attention. I think we all have that experience. And for some people, that bad dog really barks loud. And the good dog, which dog is going to control us? Which dog is going to bark the loudest within us? It's the one we choose to feed. Real culture, real humanity is to learn the art in every situation, even if it's challenging, to feed the good dog within us and neglect the bad dog. We are inherently good. We are inherently godly. To reorient ourselves to our true nature. It's the greatest need for fulfillment within our own lives, and it's the greatest need within the world. Within our tradition, we chant these mantras, or the beautiful sweet names of God. And the purpose of that is simply like a mirror. When you look in a mirror, you're supposed to see yourself, but when it's covered with dust, you see dust. When we clean the mirror of the heart through these beautiful spiritual practices, then we see the beauty of the love of our true nature. And we could reflect that love in whatever we do. I'm so grateful. Thank you so very, very much.